I have been working on UI components to flesh out and make sure my TSnax library is more tested. So here I've got a little test app I've been working on. Right now it's just got some dividers doing everything pure LabVIEW except for all of the TestStand API under the hood. So we just got some panel dividers here, some subpanels, so it'd be an insertion palette here. This is going to be the sequence file view here, and then these other panels will be for configuration and run steps, things like that. But they're not used for anything yet. Pretty straightforward setup. Initialize the UI manager. By default, it will create and initialize the TestStand engine instance, and we're going to start it with a custom editor license versus operator, which would be run only, or the full sequence editor. We're not the full sequence editor, so we don't need to use that value. And then we want an insertion palette, so we create an insertion palette instance, tell it to insert it into that subpanel that we've got on the left, and a sequence view panel, which will go in the other subpanel. I've got a handful of steps right now. This is just the quick and easy method for specifying what to show in the insertion palette. These are the type names as defined in the types palette, the types editor in TestStand, and I'm manually specifying a group. Alternatively, if they had the category subproperty set on the step type definition, it would be able to use that if I left this blank. But just an example of customizing that. So it can add items to the insertion palette. It'll group things by the group, sort by name, all that fun stuff. And then with the sequence file, the sequence view, I'm going to open up one of the shipping examples, the computer motherboard test sequence, and we're going to tell the sequence view to set that as the current sequence file we're looking at. Then it starts up, and at that point, the top level application just has to wait to be told to close. This is a lot like the TestStand user interface components that ship with TestStand, and then there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that happens, and this is utilizing the TSnax library, the API wrapper under the hood, and then just also automates a lot of the interactions between like the insertion palette and dragging and dropping steps, which I have kind of working, but they don't actually create new steps yet. Just the drag and drop behavior is working. And then when it closes, whatever the current sequence file is, you need to make sure you release that. Shut down the UI manager. It also, by default, will shut down the TestStand engine instance, and we let everything close down. So if we run this is going to take about 10 seconds, 20 seconds to get the TestStand engine initialized. Oh, actually, it's a lot quicker than that. So right off the bat, it opens the computer motherboard example. It's got a sequence file load callback that displays this pop-up. And we can see here, I've got to set this so the comment doesn't cause the spacing to space out. But we can see the different sequences here. Here are the steps. So pretty plain here. Don't have all the icons and everything in yet. But everything is being displayed. This is actually pulling the description from the steps. So if you've got an expression that defines the description, this will display that. For instance, with these if steps, you can see what the conditional is that's set for the if on there. I can switch to the other sequences. This doesn't run yet. I basically need a run button and plug in like the 3 more TSnax calls. But yeah, so here's sequence file load. Here's the explanation showing the example description pop-up that showed up. Here are the steps that I defined that I wanted to be available. So again, just a pretty rudimentary so far example for doing a fully custom user interface. being able to 100% customize the experience of not only people that are running it, such as with the shipping simple operator example demo that ships, but you could even fully customize the editing experience. So if you're a company that has a whole bunch of predefined custom step types and you write custom editor UIs for your steps, something like this would be the bit that gets you to fully customize the editor experience for your TestStand sequence developers. And I think some of this will probably break, and this is kind of faking it. It's not actually, so I don't have the glyph being drawn in the right spot, but the drag and drop is working. It's not actually adding to the step. You can see here it's using the type name instead of the display name. But I do have the drag and drop interaction, other than some of the math for the alignment. Kind of mostly figured out. It kind of works, but now it's big enough we can actually scroll. So yeah, I'll be showing this off at GLA Summit. This will be part of my TSnax presentation. And then I'll have the other presentation where I'm talking about my TCP libraries and some other stuff related to the TCP libraries. That all of this will be on VIPM once it gets to a usable state and polished up a bit.